I chose to raise a family. For me, it was a privilege. But for you, you may think it's old-fashioned.
Don't you want Nick to be happy?
I know you're not what Nick needs.
She's like trying to play a game of chicken with me, thinking I'm gonna swerve like a chicken.
But you can't swerve. You gonna roll up and be like,
"Bok, bok, bitch."
Okay, maybe like not as aggressive.
I met a girl, I fell in love, and I want to marry her.
You're Nicholas Young. You're untouchable. But Rachel's not.
Have you prepped Rachel to face the wolves?
You know I'm back, like I never left.
I really admire you. It takes guts coming all the way over here, facing Nick's family.
Another day, another breath.
I know this much. You will never be enough.
Yo, it's about time someone stood up to Auntie Eleanor. Well, you, not me. Oh, God. She can't know I was ever here.
I feel glorious, glorious. Got a chance to stop you. I was born for this, born for this.
Ever since I can remember, my family has been my whole life. Rachel! Rachel!
If Nick chose me, he would lose his family. And if he chose his family, he might spend the rest of his life resenting you.
Aloha! This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, here in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. And today, Thursday, August 16th, I saw Crazy Rich Asians. Now, I can't say that this is opening weekend because they had actually brought out this film earlier this week, amazingly. I think opening like Monday or Tuesday, and it's been playing all the way through the week and into the weekend. And is projected at maxing out about 25 million for the entire stretch of this week, including the weekend. Which, you know, if it was the opening weekend, would be pretty good. And they're saying that, you know, it may overtake the Meg, which might fall just down to 20 million. That being said, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's bad to see. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And for Crazy Rich Asians, starring Michelle Yeoh, Constant Wu, Awkwafina, newcomer Henry Golding, and even Jenna Chan, it is ultimately a shock a thumbs up. Now, truth be told, I was not interested in seeing this movie. I actually wanted to skip it. But being that it was one of the major new movies coming out this weekend, with the other being Alpha and then the other Mile 22, which feels to me with Mark Wahlberg, you know, Mile 22 feels like it is a straight-to-video kind of movie. You know, if it came out in the 80s or the 90s, it would be one of those straight-to-video kind of movies that you would just see in Walmart's bargain bin. That being said, though, surprisingly enough, Crazy Rich Asians is the movie that was slated by Warner Brothers to just go straight to Netflix. However, the director, John M. Chun, fought hard and actually resisted more money to see that this movie gets into theaters and on the big screen. Was it necessary? It is a shock a thumbs up. Overall, it is a decent enough film. It's all right. It's okay. There were some funny parts in it, but this movie is such a cookie cutter from everything that we had seen before, being Pretty Woman, being, you know, Her Best Friend's Wedding, you know, and a whole host of other movies where, you know, even Coming to America would probably be the best example of this, whereas a woman falls in love, you know, of not poor standings, but of average, you know, or slightly high middle class, falls in love with someone who turns out to be fabulously rich. And the person that she falls in love with with is the average guy and not the super mega rich person. And then all of a sudden, just because she finds out he's super rich means that, oh, I can't be with this person. I don't know what I ever saw in him. It's like, oh, he was just trying to trick me. It's like, no, you couldn't handle the fact that he was super rich. And even though you fell in love with him as a nice guy before, whether he's super rich or super poor shouldn't matter. But, it does. But, in the fictional sense of the word, it is, oh, that he's super rich bothers me. Not that, oh, he's broke. I'm not going to spend any time with this guy. So right there, that's the fictional part of it. But, okay, so that being said, I went ahead and I saw this movie, and I did give it a thumbs up, even though it is a cookie-cutter plot that we have seen before. But the watershed moment, the groundbreakingness of this film is the fact that not since the Joy Luck Club almost 15, 20 years ago, do we have a film that stars, and the majority of the cast is Asian. And I've never seen Constant Wu's work. I've never seen Awkwafina's work, and I am blown away at how good they actually are. Now, I love Michelle Yeoh. I've seen all her, the Hong Kong flicks. I even push for, sticking on to watch Discovery if she's going to come back in that Star Trek role again. But, I don't like to see her as the bad guy, even though she was deliciously good in Star Trek Discovery as the bad guy, or the bad girl, or woman in this case. But, again, she is the bad person in this one, being the mother of the rich, person that Constant Wu falls in love with, Henry Golding. And is just set against it and starts to try to push them apart like we've seen in so many other movies. But ultimately, finding out that her son's happiness is more important to her than finding the right person for her to marry. I think this movie could have been stronger if it had stayed in America. Taking it off to Singapore, I might have saved them a little bit of money in the filming, but pretty much there are cheaper places in Asia you could have filmed this movie that the budget would have went further. But Singapore is a nice place. I've been there like 3 times. If you're going to go visit, it is the perfect Asian destination for anyone who does not speak a foreign language, because they speak, English. It was a British colony at one time, so English is the primary language there in Singapore. And it is beautiful. A little strict on the laws, no gum chewing, or at least don't spit it out on the streets. But that being said, Constant Wu, Awkwafina, fabulous. And of course, even though Michelle Yeoh is a bad person in this movie, she is the powerhouse star in this movie. As being your Howley Island Man, I can say that there are some uncomfortable parts of this movie, some racial stereotyping that takes place, both against Asians. When we open up the film, we see a younger Michelle Yeoh with her family, the young son, Henry Golding's playing this character, being pretty much kicked out of a hotel that they had reservations for, saying that there were no occupancy for their type of people, being Chinese or Asians, I guess. And unfortunately, which has happened in the past and will continue, unfortunately, in many parts of the world, and even here, as President Trump is our president here in America, can happen. But, they kind of, the filmmaker skirts around this a little bit, being that it was a British-owned motel. So, of course, the British have always had a fascination in the movies as being kind of the villains. So that kind of skirts the American angle away from much noticing in this movie. But that being said, it is there. The mother and her friends call Constant Wu's character a banana, a term I had not heard before, but because she was born and raised in America, in the United States, they look down upon her and call her a banana. I did not know that this was a slur, a racial slur, that she is yellow on the outside and white on the inside, referring that she's not really Chinese or of Asian origin, which I found very, very surprising and was kind of taken back at that. But, there are worse movies, such as Mile 21, to see this weekend. I'm sorry, I guess I'm not pumping this movie up enough, but Singapore is a beautiful backdrop for this movie. As far as a fun, comedic, romantic comedy, a good date movie is what this movie turns out to be. It's definitely going to slant a little bit more female on the demographics because it is involving Constant Wu and her friend Aquafina, and the whole idea of marriage, I think, and, finding the right person, despite what one's family may think of them, I think is just pre-programmed more into, the female demographic. So as a woman, I think that you would enjoy this movie much, much more than, say, a guy is probably, unfortunately, going to gravitate towards Mile 22. If he's going out on a date, or he's taking his girlfriend, or your wife, guys, you want to go ahead and you want to take them to see this movie, Crazy Rich Asians. It is a good comedic, romantic comedy. It does have its hard points at times, but there's plenty of comedy to spice it up and keep everything pretty light. And again, if you haven't seen much of Singapore in the movies, now I watch a lot of foreign films. I see a lot of like Chinese, Japanese, Korean films. So when you show me an entire Asian cast, I'm like, oh, okay, why is this groundbreaking? I see these kind of films all the time. But the fact that it is a Hollywood movie is the significant part. That, my psyche as who I am, as what I am, I don't catch as being that significant. Whereas maybe you, the audience out there, the other demographic, more of, an Asian background, might enjoy much, much more, and definitely like seeing. I've heard Fresh Off the Boat is a really good movie or a really good TV show, but I haven't seen any of it. Because to me that, Fresh Off the Boat is kind of a slur to me, so I'm not going to watch that kind of comedy, even though it is elevated far beyond something like that. But because of that, I gravitate away from it. Whereas, probably unfairly. Don't be unfair to this movie, even though it is a trope that we have seen before with the rich guy and the poor girl, only finding, really being only interested in true love. It could have been a more realistic story, but, all things considered, it is still not bad. It is still pretty good, and a shaka thumbs up. So if you're wondering what to see this weekend, definitely, check out this movie. You can't go wrong when it hits Netflix, iTunes, streaming. See it there, see it at the matinee, or on the discount days of Tuesday at Consolidated for $7, Regal for $6, and you can't go wrong on Tuesdays. definitely check it out if you're interested. If you like Asian culture, if you like to see the push and pull between what's going on culturally, you know, the sensitivities between, you know, social, not only social economic classes, but racial divides as well, you know, especially again in these, you know, turbulent times that we live in. It's nice to see a movie like this get its fair shake. And, you know, honestly, it probably would have been passed over, you know, just buried under all the numerous other Netflix titles that come out each and every month. So it would have been a while and not gotten its fair shake or fair viewing, you know, as immediately as, you know, being a full feature length movie at the theater. So definitely go and check it out. Shock a thumbs up for Crazy Rich Asians. Standout performance by Awkwafina. I did not see Ocean's 8. As far as I know, that's her only other big role. I don't know if she's been on TV or anything, but I look forward to seeing more of her in movies. Definitely, she is very funny, and incredible. Even seeing Jenna Chan from Sci-Fi's Humans in this movie and seeing that she can act. I tried to watch the pilot of that TV show on Sci-Fi Humans, and I couldn't even get through it. It was just so boring to me. But I'll be honest, her face on the poster pulled me in to watch the pilot, and she is beautiful in this movie, and we find out she can act. She is really good in this movie. You know, something you definitely didn't see her be able to emote in Transformers The Last Night, where she was there at the final end and won't be back for any of those films because that's trash, because the entire movie was trash. But, you know, so now I look forward to seeing her in even more films. So definitely, if you want to see some good breakout, new fresh blood in Hollywood, check out this film. Hopefully this will propel them to more. Definitely I could see Awkwafina jumping into more stuff, and now Constant Wu, who is, you know, before I heard she was only just a minor actress and activist, but now she's got the goods, I gotta say. So again, shock a thumbs up for Crazy Rich Asians. Really, there's nothing too much more to see out there in the theaters this weekend. If you want to go see a movie, this is it. All right, thank you so much. It's Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, saying shock a thumbs up for Crazy Rich Asians. Check it out. It's a good time. All right, thank you so much, and aloha.